Well, here's another good variation type problem. So if you're driving your car and you don't have anti-lock brakes, or perhaps even if you do sometimes, you hit the brakes really hard, then you're going to leave a skid mark. So what's the length of the skid? So the length, and for that, I'll just use L. It varies directly, so that means it's constant times the square of the speed of the car. So the speed, I'll just use S, and then it says it's the square. So the function that we're dealing with is the length is equal to some constant times the speed squared. All right, that is the physics part, setting up that equation right there. And then, of course, it depends on the car, the type of tires, the road. Is the road wet? Is it dry? So we need some specific information. So for one particular car tested at 30 miles an hour, so in other words, if S equals 30 miles an hour, then the skid mark was 160 feet long. That seems very long. Maybe it was raining or something like that. So that's the length of the skid mark. So substitute that information in. So L equals a 160. K is what we need to solve for. And then the S is 30 that gets squared. So in order to solve for K, I could just divide by 30 squared. And then we have what K equals. And for that, I think I'm going to get a decimal. So I need 160 divided by 30 squared. So 160 divided by 30 squared. So for the first three decimals, it's a 0.178. So the K equals a 0.178. And then just go back to this equation and substitute the K is a 0.178 and then times S squared. So there's our equation. Then what's next? So then the highway patrol could say, well, at this accident scene, we found out that the skid mark was 220 feet long. How fast was the car going? So just substitute that the L, the length of the skid mark, is 225, and then solve for S, the speed of the car. So if this is 225, then solve for S. So first, what I would do is divide both sides by the 0.178, and I'm not going to figure that out on the left side until I'm done with this algebra. The next thing I could do is take the square root in order to get rid of the squared so that this is just S, but that means I need to square root this side as well. So I need to know what's the square root of 225 divided by a 0.178. And for that, I think I'll use a calculator. So what is the square root of 225 divided by a 0.178? And everything's inside the square root. So that means that they were going 35.553 miles an hour. 35.553 miles per hour.